What's going on, Dub Nation? Welcome into Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Coming up, we have a massive Lauri Markkanen trade update. But before we get into all of that, our July sub battle is almost coming to a close, and we're still in second place behind those frauds over at 76ers now. But this is not an unattainable goal. We can still win the July sub battle. It's up to you guys, though. We got to get about 150 subs in the next 2 days to really cement ourselves in first place in July sub battle. So all you got to do is hit that red button down there and subscribe to Warriors Today. All right, guys. It might be Jover. We might be cooked on a potential Lauri Markkanen trade. There's a new update that has just come out, and we're keeping you guys posted with every single quote, rumor, report that comes out about Lauri Markkanen and his trade rumors. We're bringing it to you right here on the channel. So this is the worst update that we've received yet on the Lauri Markkanen trade front. Why don't we just hop right into it? Tony Jones of The Athletic had this to say about Lauri Markkanen's current situation. He said, I would expect him to sign on August 7th or after August 6th. Lauri doesn't want to be traded. I expect him to do it after August 6th, so there's no trade talk this year. I don't even think him signing on August 6th is even an option. We're almost 100% trending towards him signing on August 7th. And my worst fear has come true. The dagger in the heart of Warriors fans, myself, and all of Dub Nation alike, we really thought that this was a real possibility. We thought that Lauri Markkanen getting traded over to GSW was a real thought and something that the Jazz would be open to, something that Golden State would be hard-pressed in trying to improve this roster for Steph Curry and company this season. But it looks like Lauri himself and the Utah Jazz have kind of stifled all the trade talk, all the rumors that are going on throughout this summer in this situation. Looks like Lauri Markkanen is going to be re-signing with the Utah Jazz come the end of the first week of August. And Tony Jones had more to say about kind of the context of the situation and why Lauri is making this decision. He said Lauri has really taken to Utah. His family has taken to Utah. Obviously, the Jazz can trade him between now and August 6th, and Lauri knows that. But Lauri has forged a really close relationship to Will Hardy, the Jazz head coach, and Will has found a way to unlock his career. And I can't disagree with that. To be fair, Lauri Markkanen's career has been unlocked with the Utah Jazz. He's eclipsed 20 points per game the last 2 seasons for the first time in his career, and he's really blossomed as an offensive focal point there in Utah. But does this guy just want to stink forever? Does he want to be on garbage organizations and be on trash teams and never compete and never see what it's like to chase for gold and chase for an NBA championship? I mean, I know him in Finland in the Olympics are never going to get gold, so he's going to be bad in international play. He's going to be bad in the NBA. Lauri Markkanen, it just seems like he's okay with being mediocre and getting his bag, getting his money. It's unfortunate if you look at this number right here. Lauri Markkanen's career record, 163 and 240. That's about a 40% winning percentage. So 4 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 days, more often than not, Lauri Markkanen's waking up and saying, you know what, I'm going to lose tonight. I'm going to lose tonight, and this is just not going to be an enjoyable experience for the fans, for this organization. And what Lauri Markkanen kind of does here by staying with the Utah Jazz, he kind of puts them in this little bit of a purgatory, right? He doesn't really make them a for sure tanking team that is in prime position to go get a guy like Cooper Flagg next year. He kind of keeps them above water, kind of toward that 3rd to 4th worst team in the conference, and just puts his team at a disadvantage when it comes to draft lottery time just by being as good of a player as he is. And overall, for Golden State's point of view, I think this is a really big hit. I think this is the one guy on your radar, the one guy who was semi-available this offseason besides Paul George, with how that all got situated. And Clippers didn't want to make the deal with Golden State and all that jazz, even though they would have potentially gotten a Jonathan Kuminga back in the deal. But this has, since that, Golden State's focus has shifted to Lauri Markkanen. And it's unfortunate that it looks like it's going to end in unsuccessfully. It looks like this is a big hit to Golden State in the fact that they're not getting a player that can elevate their offense like this, like Lauri Markkanen has for the Utah Jazz over the past couple of seasons. I mean, you never thought about Lauri Markkanen as this elite rebounder, but he's still going out there and grabbing 8.5 a game. That would actually be the leader in the Golden State Warriors clubhouse as of this past season. And then a guy who's putting up 23 and 25 points a night on incredible efficiency. Like, if you want to talk about a prototypical player to put around a Steph Curry, Talk about a floor spacing big who is attractive to defenses at multiple spots throughout the floor. I mean, off the catch, he is elite. From the corner, he is elite. Above the break, it's one of the best percentages in the entire league. As far as his shot diet goes, 50% of his shots are three-pointers, and 40% of them are going in. So he's a really effective offensive player for any of you who were confused by that. And his true shooting percentage at 63%. That stacks up with some of the best of Stephen Curry's career. So it really seems like Golden State is missing out on a big fish here. And it's kind of unfortunate because they really haven't put their best foot forward when it comes to making sizable trade offers for Lauri Markkanen. And it's unfortunate that their roster is really not going to improve before the start of the season. If you look at Golden State's roster right now, I did a roster breakdown a couple days ago. In yesterday's video, I said that if you don't make a deal like this, you're kind of saying to yourself, we're prepared to be chasing for 500 basketball. We're not sitting here acting like we are going to contend for an NBA title, going to contend at the top of the Western Conference. And it really felt like they were going to go that route based on the free agent moves they made. After you lose Klay Thompson, you bring in key veteran additions like a DeAnthony Melton, a Buddy Hield, and a Kyle Anderson. Those are guys who, around the margins, really help a championship pursuit. And now you have all those guys. Now you have the young talent as well with Moody, Kuminga, and Brandon Podziemski. Where is all this going to fit in? Because none of the guys who I just mentioned off are true bigs. None of those guys are kind of hanging around in the paint for most of their play. They're either on the wing or they're in the backcourt. And it just seems like there's not enough minutes to go around for all the talent that Golden State has acquired. Seemed like they really wanted to make a big deal happen, ship some of the assets that they had away and bring in a big fish to kind of tighten up this rotation and really make them a contender in the West. So I'm very disappointed with the whole situation and how it's played out. And my optimism level is very low on a Lauri Markkanen trade at this point. But I want to hear from you. Are you still holding out hope? Do you still think a Lauri Markkanen deal to Golden State can get done? What is your optimism level on a Lauri Markkanen trade at this point? Let me know down in the comments by scaling it 1 to 10. I want to hear from Dub Nation and what they have to think about these recent reports and recent updates from Lauri Markkanen's trade situation. Next, coming up, we have some last-second prayers for a Lauri Markkanen trade coming up here in just a moment. 3 trades to get through. But first, before we get into that, I want to get you guys swagged out with the best merch around. Stephen Curry, Team USA, they're battling over in Paris right now at the 2024 Summer Olympics. And you could be dripped out in this Stephen Curry Olympic merch. Could be the only time that you ever pick up a piece of clothing like this because Steph hasn't played in an Olympics before, and with his age and current status right now, he probably won't play in an Olympics again. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Get yourself swagged out. We got the blue, got the white over there from our friends at Fanatics, and use the chatsports.com/CurryUSA in order to go and get this sick deal. I'll leave that in the comments and description of today's video to make it easier for you guys. Chatsports.com/CurryUSA to get dripped out in some Curry Olympic merch. Now we have some last-minute, last-ditch, please to God, Utah, trade us Lauri Markkanen. Got 3 ideas for you guys coming in hot. I want to set the stage, though, before we get into the actual trade ideas and as to what's going on, what we've heard before the reports that came out today, and where everything stands with the Lauri Markkanen trade. So, the Warriors and the Jazz, they've been connected on this, and they've definitely spoken as Golden State has thrown an offer out there centered around Moses Moody and a plethora of draft capital. Danny Ainge kind of responded to that unseriously, saying that we want Moody, Trey Jackson-Davis, Kuminga, Podziemski. We want a whole plethora of your young talent, and obviously that's an unserious ask from Danny Ainge. The Jazz reportedly want Podziemski as the key young player back in a deal. We've heard that multiple times, and we've also heard that Golden State has been unwilling to include Podziemski or Jonathan Kuminga in any trade up to this point. But as far as what Golden State's going to really have to do, if they're dying for Lauri Markkanen and the clock is ticking and they really want to get a deal done, it's likely that they're going to have to include one of these 2 players to get a deal facilitated. So let's start off with the first trade idea we have here. I know a lot's going on. We'll talk about that in just a second. But as of right now, the Golden State Warriors receive Lauri Markkanen, a $8 million trade exception, which can be very valuable by trading away Kevon Looney, who goes to Utah, and a $2 million trade exception from Guy Santos, who also goes to Utah here. The Jazz receive Moses Moody. So this deal is kind of centered around what Golden State has offered as far as what the Utah Jazz are getting here. They get Moses Moody, Kevon Looney, Guy Santos, Kevin Huerter, which is a good piece. He's coming off injury, though. Colby Jones, a young guard from the Kings. 3 first-round picks, 1 first-round pick swap, and a second-round pick. So the Jazz make out like bandits in the draft capital category. And then the Kings receive Jonathan Kuminga, which is interesting. I've seen this is a trade reported originally by Bleacher Report, and it's funny because this came out after DeMar DeRozan had been signing with the Kings. So I wonder how that lineup and that spacing would really work out in Sacramento. But Jonathan Kuminga heads to Sacramento in this deal. The Jazz get a bunch of moving pieces and picks, and the Warriors get Lauri Markkanen. So I know it's a lot of moving parts. I'm almost getting confused, getting tongue-twisted right now listing everything that's going out on this deal. But I think this benefits everybody that's listed in the trade. Obviously, Sacramento gets Jonathan Kuminga, who's likely the second-best player in this deal. Golden State gets Markkanen. So 2 big-time players going to the Kings and the Warriors. And then this deal allows Utah to go full tank for Cooper Flagg in next year's 2025 NBA draft. I'd be hard-pressed to find a roster that was weaker than the one that Utah would be left with after making this trade. And I think that's really what they want to do. I'm sure Danny Ainge is enamored with Cooper Flagg and how he can be brought over to Utah. And I think he wants to be in the best position to get that done. Now, here's a different trade idea, which still allows that. We'll talk about that in just a second. But again, this is probably my favorite trade idea that I've ever seen. This one comes from a fan on Fanspo. I was just searching around for Lauri Markkanen trade ideas. I saw this one, and I was like, this is spicy, and I'm kind of for it. The Warriors get Lauri Markkanen and Jakob Poeltl from the Toronto Raptors. So that solves your entire front court in one swing of the bat. The Jazz, on the other hand, get Brandon Podziemski this time around, Kevon Looney, Chris Boucher, Gary Payton II, 2 firsts, and a first-round pick swap, all of that coming from Golden State. And then the Raptors take on Andrew Wiggins' contract. They also receive Moses Moody and 2 seconds via Golden State. And I know, unfortunately, for Golden State, they don't want to give up Brandon Podziemski. Fans, I've heard many times, don't want to give up Podziemski. I guess they're kind of split. But getting Jakob Poeltl in this deal and adding to your front court, solidifying your center position for the next couple of seasons is paramount. And it numbs the pain, for me at least, of losing Brandon Podziemski in the deal. You still have a good backcourt. You signed Buddy Hield. You signed DeAnthony Melton. There's still good backcourt members. And, Gary Payton II as well, who I don't believe was in that deal. He was, unfortunately. But regardless, you still have a good backcourt in Golden State for the foreseeable future, and then you really solidify your front court. And also getting off the Wiggins contract, this allows for Jonathan Kuminga to be the complete focal point of Golden State's offense and defense on the wing position. If Andrew Wiggins is a part of this rotation this year, it's going to be a problem at some point as far as Jonathan Kuminga's overall player development and growth. I think that Andrew Wiggins has to be moved. If he's dealt for a couple seconds at this point, I'm not entirely against that. I just really think you need to buy into this new era of Warriors basketball, play Jonathan Kuminga the minutes that he has deserved up to this point after he showed such improvement last year, and kind of be done with the whole Wiggins saga. Let another team take on the drama that follows him. And like I said, the Jazz would still be able to tank for Flagg in this deal. They're acquiring a budding star in Podziemski, but he's not really going to take you too far up in the Western Conference standings. You imagine that a couple teams that finished below you last year, like the San Antonio Spurs, will get better with the improvements that they've made in Victor Wembanyama's second year. And this puts the Utah Jazz's roster really in a weak spot that puts them in a prime position to go get a guy like Cooper Flagg. They get Brandon Podziemski to pair up with him, who Cooper Flagg called his favorite teammate on the Team USA Select team, and they're still getting a plethora of draft picks. So I think that Utah would be inclined to accept a deal that looked like the second one. And then, if all else fails, the third trade idea where we say, listen, this is mano y mano, we're going one-on-one here, and I'm giving you what we can give you, and take it or leave it. Lauri Markkanen to the Warriors, Brandon Podziemski, Andrew Wiggins, 4 first-round picks and swaps. It probably would be 2 and 2 at that point, and then 2 second-round picks. So likely the most that Golden State is going to be sending out here in a deal, kind of with trades 2 and 3. But like I said, this is your last-ditch move to the Utah Jazz. This is an August 5th last-minute call Mike Dunleavy makes up to Danny Ainge in Utah and says, hey, listen, we really need Lauri Markkanen to compete at a high level this season. We're going to give you Podziemski, we'll give you Wiggins, we'll give you all the picks, and hopefully you say yes. If you say no, at least we tried. This also gives Utah the best roster, likely, with the addition of Andrew Wiggins, out of any of the trades that we discussed today. So that potentially could cause for some concern on Utah's end that they wouldn't be, the solidified worst team in the West with great odds to win the NBA draft lottery next year. So maybe that could be a hiccup in this deal. But this is Golden State kind of putting all their cards on the table. The overall problem that we keep going back to all this is that Brandon Podziemski, though, is still untouchable in any type of deal. And that really ruins things because we know that Utah wants Brandon Podziemski. We know Golden State wants Brandon Podziemski. And that's kind of the stronghold that the two teams have over each other right now as far as not getting a deal done. So with that said, I want to go over these trade ideas that we've run through in this video today, and I want to know which one you would make. If it's trade idea 1, where Jonathan Kuminga goes to the Kings and the Warriors get Lauri Markkanen and a couple trade exceptions, send out 3 firsts, type trade 1. And then if it's trade 2, where the Warriors get a really, really good haul back of Lauri Markkanen and Jakob Poeltl and send Andrew Wiggins over to the Raptors, this one they're losing Brandon Podziemski, type 2. And then if you think this one, the one-on-one, the mano-a-mano trade is the best idea, type 3. They're giving up Brandon Podziemski, Wiggins, 4 firsts and swaps, and a couple second-round picks. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. That'll do it for today's Golden State Warriors today. This has been a crazy situation with Lauri Markkanen. We're still going to cover everything that comes out about the trade rumors and any new quotes that arise or anything that could change from now and between now and August 6th. You're going to find it right here at Warriors Today by Chat Sports, youtube.com/WarriorsTV. Let's win that July sub battle. Let's beat those frauds over at 76ers now, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel.